Good evening and welcome to Momentum Chat. I am Majida Bay, your financial conductor. I set parents and professionals on the right financial track to success. And I'm really excited about the conversation we're going to have this evening. I didn't want to give it all away. And so if you are watching this, definitely like, share it, tell a friend, and you're going to want to stay tuned for this conversation. We'll see you soon. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to Momentum Chat. I am joined as always by my co-host, Mr. John Efting Jr. out of Virginia Beach, senior financial professional, 20 years in the financial services industry, husband, father, just a phenomenal man of God, and my mentor, I get to say. How are you doing tonight, John?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm curious about our talk tonight. So
hey, we're gonna have some fun. So I didn't want normally I give the audience a little insight into what the conversation is going to be about, but I didn't want to give it all away tonight. And I want to start off. So the question that I had as the description for this chat was, what if you saw what you do and who you are differently? All right. And that question actually came from John last week. We're having a conference call and he posed that to our organization, to our team. And, you know, I've just been reflecting on that. Yes. Yes. All right. Thank you. My big sister's doing her job. And so I've been reflecting over that over the last few days. You know, what if you saw, and like as I thought about it, you know, I started to see myself differently in my job, as a mother, even in my business. And so I wanted to share that with our audience.
Also, my sister always said hi.
All right. And I wanted to share that with our audience because they're not privy a lot, of course, to the conversations that we have, you know, within our team, within our organization. But I thought it was so insightful and it could definitely help a lot of people to be able to, as we say, the quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you ask yourself and others. So I just wanted to post some questions tonight for our audience to think about, to reflect on. And I want to start it with that one. So John, could you share with the audience where that thought, where that idea, where that question came from? What if you saw what you do, and I added who you are differently?
yeah. Well, it really stemmed from my own study of myself and my own study of just things. I'm actually getting ready to start another book, and then, as a matter of fact, as soon as we're done with this, I have to immediately jump off of here and get on something else, kind of a big thing. So it's a couple of guys who I follow myself, John and Lisa Bevere, who are with Messenger International, and also Dr. Samuel Chan, who are part of my faith, right? So the reason it came to me, and of course I pose it in a different way to the organization, but the reason it came to me is a lot of times in my faith, we see certain things as sacred and certain things as secular. Certain things as sacred and certain things as secular. For example, we'll see a guy who's a pastor of a church as that's sacred, right? But sometimes we don't see the guy that's the doctor the same way. We see that as secular. When quite frankly, God may have designed that guy to be a doctor to advance his kingdom, to help his people, to keep them well, healthy, so that the gospel will continue. Right. And unfortunately, even people who are in those tasks, I have a friend of mine who's an attorney, incredible attorney, amazing attorney, an honest one, as a matter of fact. You know, thank God I know a lot of honest attorneys. They have a stigma of not being honest. And I can tell you firsthand, I know at least a dozen who are just stellar, incredible guys and ladies. And sometimes people will see what they're doing as secular. when really it could be sacred as well, right? And I really believe in this phrase. I've said this for years, right? And this isn't just about what you do or who you are. It's in everything. How do you see it? How do you see? Isn't it funny that we could, you and I, just you and I. Now, luckily, you and I are almost on the same wavelength on a lot of things. I'm just a little bit further along in the movie, but it's a lot of people who can see the exact same thing. They could read the exact same book. They could view the exact same movie, the exact same newscast or news report, and get two totally different things. That, what does that stem to? How do you see it? How do you see it? How do you see what you're doing? How do you see what's happening with you? How do you see? So those types of things is what stem my question. What stem my question is, what if you saw what you do and how you do it or who you are differently, right? What if you saw you're an engineer? What if you saw being an engineer differently? What if the teacher didn't just see themselves as being an educator, but what if they saw it as how that's going to stem from generations to generations, the way they're teaching?
Yeah.
What if we saw what we did differently? I don't see what I do as a fight. I don't see. Look, okay, I'm going to let you guys into my psyche. I don't see me being a financial professional and helping somebody get their financial life on order and them under. And it's not just about them making having a bunch of money, saving a bunch of money. That's not it for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Right? But that's a big part. But that's not it. Absolutely not. You know what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to eradicate divorce. I'm helping you see what I do differently. They say, I don't believe this totally, but they say the number one reason for divorce is financial issues. If I can eradicate that one, now you got to figure out another reason to get divorced. So I do what I do. I teach, right? And I don't just tell my clients, hey, put your money in this, do this. Right? No, I'm teaching them. Like when the stock market crashes, I don't get a whole bunch of phone calls. You know why? Because over the last 19, 20 years, I've been teaching my clients. So now when stuff hit the fan, they don't freak out. They don't go, oh my God, they don't go pulling everything out because they understand it now.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sorry, I'm getting a little passionate here, but I see, that's how I see it. Right? Also, I'm trying to make sure that if you're my client, I'm trying to make sure if you're a family I get to serve, and that's how I see it. I get to serve you, right? If you're one of the families I get to serve, this is the last generation that you guys struggle the way you've done. Otherwise, don't tell them I'm your advisor. You make me look bad. So that means, and I'm talking to the people who are kind of my clients. What do I mean? They partially listen to what I say. Right? They, for some reason, they think what Susie Orman or what somebody said on CNN or Fox or something like that. They don't, not the person who sat down across from them, kneecap to kneecap, looked at their actual situation, not some false thing. Most of them are listening. Some of them are listening more to the person on Instagram than they listen to me. Okay, whatever. And you get that choice. Everybody gets choices in our world. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Right? So they have options. Guess what? So do I. I get to choose if I work with you or not. See, when I was in the Navy, I didn't get the choice if I got to work with somebody or not. I'm an entrepreneur. I get to choose now. Right? So I don't deal with mental root canals either. Yeah. I don't mind saying that, right? And some probably listening to this right now and they're like, oh crap, am I one of the mental root canals? You would know, I promise you. I'm not politically correct. I think political correctness is killing you because nobody tells you the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth, and I'm okay with you leaving. See, I'm okay with people not liking me as long as they become successful, as long as their family does well, as long as they become significant as well. I don't just want you to be successful. I want you to be significant. I look at what I do differently.
Yeah.
Right? And also, if all of this works out the way I hope, not only will you be better financially, family be stronger, right? Educated children, all of those types of things. You know what else? You'll have a level of confidence. This is where freedom comes in. You always hear me say, John, I wanted my freedom, right? You'll have a level of confidence, right? And here's what confidence does. It gives other people permission to be confident. Not arrogant, confident. See, confident people are even confident in what they don't know. Yeah, we're okay with telling you, I don't know that. We stay in our lane.
Yeah.
But here's the smart thing. We create great relationships with people who's in that other lane. So therefore, we can get that done too. I don't know a whole bunch of law stuff, okay?
Yeah.
But I know some incredible attorneys who, if I just reach out to them and say, "Hey, man, I need this," they'll if they don't know it, they'll point me in. If they don't do that, they'll point me in the direction of one, right?
Yeah.
And no matter what it is, if real estate, a car, right? You want to buy a car? What kind of car? Right? Because I can send you to somebody who's going to take care of it, who's going to make sure you get the right one. And does that make sense? And people of great character too. They're going to do it the right way. I view what I do differently. Do you?
I do now. I do now, man. Since I heard that question, I just been thinking about everything that I do. I mentioned, just even me being a mother. I used to think that like I'm wired to just be a provider, right? Like I'm just supposed to go work and make sure they got food on the table and a roof over their head. And since you asked that question, I see my role differently as a mother. I see that like these children were entrusted to me to help them build character, to help them have a certain sense of self-esteem and value and to love themselves, right? Like all of those things. It just took it to a different level. Like I see motherhood differently just from that question being asked. And it was helpful for me. So I wanted to help the other people, right? People who'll be listening to this, to think about that.
Matter of fact, let me help a little bit more, if you don't mind. Right? Because I believe by me sharing how I view what I do, right? So I'm a financial professional. I do insurance and investments, and right. And most people think that's math. It's not math. It's strategy.
Yeah.
Okay. Helping something get to it's strategy. So here's another way, right? So it took me a long time to get to where I am in my faith, but where I am now, I'm solid. You understand? Okay. But I'm growing. This question was posed to me at least a dozen years ago. So what I do is I help people of God do well with the 90% they're supposed to be doing well with. Steward it well. So that they have no problem giving the 10 they're supposed to give back to the kingdom. This question was posed to me a long time ago, at least a dozen years ago. What could the people of God do for the kingdom of God if they were debt free? Unfortunately, right? And I'm talking about people of the church. Pay out more than 900% more in interest payments than they pay to the local church. The place you're actually supposed to go for help, right? You're not supposed to go to the government. You're actually supposed to go to your local church. We're supposed to feed them. We're supposed to take care of the orphans. We're supposed to take care of the widows. That's what we're supposed to do. But we broke. So, but hey, if I can get the people to do right what they're supposed to do, that's not an issue. That's no longer an issue. Nobody's supposed to be going to the government. That's not even their job. And if you notice, they screw it up anyway. Why do we keep putting trust in these people? They don't care about us at all. They care about power. That's it. Yet, oh, and I'm talking about this current administration and the last one and the one before that and the one before that. I don't care. None of them care about us. Matter of fact, let's just do some simple. Y'all got common sense? Y'all got common sense? Okay. Watch this. What kind of person would even want that job? It pays $400,000 a year. Baseball players, man, the two dudes that's getting ready to play in the Super Bowl make way more than that. Why would you even want that job? You go in looking good. Barack went in looking good, didn't he? Still had black hair. Man, that joke left looking like beat. Michelle looked better, but he looked like, oh my God. Like, that was just in 8 years. How do you age that fast in 8 years? Right? Because it was a bigger agenda. That's not enough for me to do that job. Y'all be pissed off if I did the job anyway. Because I'm still having date nights and it's going to be a whole lot of meetings I'm just going to miss. Because I always believe that would never be my first job. My first job is husband and father.
Right.
You shouldn't, don't vote me in. It's not going to work. I'm telling you. I'm telling you now. I'm a huge military guy, right? And I be commander in chief. Now, mind you, I'm saying this because I don't do the job right now, right? Not even interested, right? But once I get in, I still have the same mindset. How do I see it? So you never know. This whole all this stuff I'm saying probably will shift, right? Because I'm gonna get in there and be like, okay, how do I see what I'm doing? Because to me, you're not just the leader of the free world. It's a lot to go into that. And I'm gonna be honest, I just don't want the job. They don't print enough money for me to do that job.
I hear that.
No, it just don't. But I see what I'm doing differently. So in the church, for my faith, right, as a Christian man, right, and I notice just how many of them still struggle financially. Here you are, you serve the King of all kings, the King of kings, the Lord of lords. You're his children. He says it in his word, right? He gave us the right to become children of God. Become. That means you're not it, and then you get to become it, right? And I don't know about you. I'm a father. I'm not that great of a father. He's the perfect father. I'm trying to be a good father. I know how much I want to spoil Jesse, my baby. So I just think he wants to spoil me that way. If not better. You understand? I'm a flawed dad, perfect dad. I'm sure he wants to spoil me. Yet most of us are not spoiled. Don't get me wrong. I see everything as a blessing. I'm breathing right now. Actually, I got in this chair and I'm going to get up out of this chair on my own reconnaissance. That's pretty cool, right? Because there's some people who can't do that. It sounds like a small, stupid thing. That's a huge thing. You know, it's a lot of people who can't sit down and get up on their own.
Yeah.
That's a big deal right there, right? People always say, "Hey, how you? Hey, it's a good day." I say, "Hell, if I get up every morning, it can't go nowhere but up from there." Somebody asked me, "How you doing, John? Better than I deserve." It's just how I think, right? I'm not perfect at this. I promise you, I get burned out. People get on my nerves. I'm a total introvert. My daughter and I have a running joke where we say people, they're the worst, right? And I'm letting you, I'm probably being more honest than I should be on here, right? But I see what I do. So I have to constantly remind myself, hey, John, what you're doing is not just this. It's not just that, right? And I'm talking about remove the money equation. What if you saw it differently? Would you perform differently? Here's a question. What if whatever you're doing, you owned it? Your name was on the building. Would you operate it differently? Would you move it differently? Do you even care about your name? Do you even care? Just some questions. Sorry, I took way too much of your time.
It's all good.
But you got me fired.
No, No, it's all good. I appreciate that perspective. Because like I said, it definitely got the wheels turning and helped me to see. Because I thought about that. I stopped by a client's house the other day, and I thought about, this is a girl that I went to high school with, and my sister introduced me to her, sat down with her some years ago, put something in place, and recently, added something to that. And just the idea, right? I got to meet her two boys. I came up to the door. They're like, "Who's that?" And she told them who I was. And my mother actually used to teach her sons at their elementary school, and so it was kind of cool to be able to see the things that she's put in place, how that's going to transform those two boys' life. And they don't even know, like they're not even aware of how it's going to impact their lives. And so I don't see what I do is just like selling something, right? It's not just, doing some paperwork, right? Like it's changing families for generations. It's setting a solid foundation for families. And in thinking about that, I've been doing some self-reflection. Just recently got a course, just trying to better know myself. What happened? Can you say hi?
Hi.
Hi.
Yes.
What happened? All right, go get it. Go get your sister.
She is.
I think about whether you want to show us the ball.
That looks like a globe.
Yeah.
She got the Now that's funny.
All right, go get a tissue for your nose. That nose is running. Go ask your sister. All right. She's into dinosaurs these days, so that's what she's imitating. But yeah, I was thinking about like I get to, right, something that you said earlier. I get to help change families for generations to come, right? And so even in thinking about the work that you do on your job or in your career, right?
Right.
All right, go watch dinosaurs.
No, I'm talking.
You want to talk?
No.
No.
Say
What
something.
are you gonna tell them?
Tell the people something.
You can't just sit up here and be cute.
She like what?
My eyes
Now,
talking.
here's an interesting thing, right? It'll be some people who will watch this and be like, "Man, what little baby doing?" Right? She's the future, right?
Absolutely.
I want to help her become confident now. I want to make sure she don't take our PTSD her future. This happened to me and you. What do you do with her? So what I keep noticing is parents transferring their PTSD down to their children. Low self-esteem get transferred down there. That's not hereditary. That's not from it. But we make it that. Can you imagine? So it's sad. I try my best not to put my stuff on my daughter. And it's a daily battle, I tell you. Because especially when you're trying to protect them. When you're trying to protect them, you say stuff that's not even true. You think it's true. And you don't get me wrong, I know your intentions are good. That stuff ain't even true. That stuff ain't even coming to pass for them. Yet we put it in the psyche. And I think I've done a decent job, but not the job I wish I could have done in just making sure our daughter don't take our stuff. She gonna already have her own stuff. She don't need to carry mine too.
Yeah.
Right? And generations of stuff. Why would you? No. And I think it's been cool for us and our family is because we've been able to segregate ourselves to a degree from stuff. Right? Starting with homeschooling our baby. We homeschooled her for a good number of years. This is her first year back in, I guess you would say, regular school, even though it's not regular school. She's still at home. But it's kind of been cool. And what that did is it allowed her to explore herself. She didn't have much peer pressure when it came to how to dress and how to speak and how. And what I love about her, she just turned 16. She's unapologetically her. She don't give a crap. Matter of fact, one of my friends was in town. We had a little thing for Saturday. And one of my friends was in town from Jersey. And one of the things he said at her little thing, he looked at all of her friends. He looked at all the, and Jesse was very selective in who she invited. But he looked at him. He says, Jesse has a different style than all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I can't tell you how heartwarming that made me feel. Because she does not care. She is unapologetically. She don't even care what my wife and I think about this. She does not care. And some parents would be like, no, they need to do what I say. I am totally good the fact that that I can't even distort her. I like that. I like that I can't screw her up. She got her own freaking mind. I never wanted to teach my daughter what to think. I always wanted to teach her how to think.
Absolutely.
And she moves on her own. She moves on her chord. She beat of her own drum, and she beating the drum. Yeah.
And I think that's important because I know for myself, it took a long time to recognize my own voice, right? To listen to my own voice. I was a people pleaser. I was timid. I was shy. I just wanted to, right? But naturally, I want to serve people. And so one of the things that was kind of brought to my awareness today as I was doing some self-reflection was that I haven't been doing that in the capacity that I would desire, right? When I was younger, like I did it naturally and I did it all the time. Well, then you get older and you get realistic, you go to school, you get good grades, you get a good job, and then you start to serve not people, but a corporation, right? Or an agenda or a bottom line, right? Like it becomes so disconnected from like who you really are. And even through all of that, like I still had to learn my, get my own voice, even in that arena. So I always saw what I did in that job as learning, right? I was learning, right? I learned how to be more confident working in, that industry. I learned how to have more, better management skills and things like that. I developed some skills there. So I was able to learn. And so now I'm in this place where like, I'm always, and I said this actually probably about, I know it was back in 2011, before I moved back to Richmond. I remember having a conversation with the then vice president and saying to him, like, I'm a person that's wired to grow. Like I need to be challenged. I need to be growing. And at the time in the company, his response to me was, well, it was like in the, during the recession, that time period, 2007, 2008, that time frame, 2009 time frame. And I remember him telling me, well, we're not really hiring anybody else for the next position. And we really need anybody. So you're stuck, right? He told me I was stuck. And like, I wasn't designed to be stuck, So that was actually around, it was 2011, because that was around the time that I came on board with the company, working with you. And it was just kind of like, well, I guess it's time to shift, right? But there were still some things that I needed to learn in that arena. So 6 months later, I ended up getting an offer to move to Richmond, got a promotion. So there was still more for me to learn there, right? But I was ready to exit because I'm like, I need to be able to grow. And so I got the opportunity to continue to grow. And now I'm in that phase where I'm starting to itch. And it's just like, I gotta be growing. Like, where's the next level? And recognizing for myself and for others, like, so we're having this conversation, like, you gotta hear your own voice. You have to know who you are. And so I've been reflecting a lot on that. Like, who am I? I was created to serve, right? And
I'm talking about, let me interrupt you. When you say you got to figure out who you are, this is the deeper inner you, the real you, not the one people told you are.
Right.
The reason you were dealing, the reason you probably had the in your career, is, all those loops you just talked about and stuff like that, is because, one, you didn't ask yourself that question, how do you see what you're doing? But here's the other one. Sometimes we buy into what we're doing based on somebody else's definition. which can be a huge thing. You have to, man, you got to get away sometimes and just think about the deeper you. See, sometimes when we get on here, people think we're trying to recruit them or tell them to go do something else. How about you just do whatever you're doing, do it to the fullest. Leave everything on the court. What if you just did that?
Yeah.
But you won't do that if you don't see the value in what you're doing.
Very true.
You won't. You won't. If you took somebody else's definition, let me tell you a phrase I cannot stand. Like, oh my God, I just thought of the phrase and it goes up my spine and pisses me off. I can't stand when somebody is in a job doing whatever it is they do, and somebody asks them to do something, and they say, "That's not my job." That bothers me. And I understand why it bothers me. I'm an entrepreneur. Everything my job. It's all mine, right?
Mm-hmm.
No matter how big we get, no matter how, I can't tell you how many times we got a bunch of glass doors around here, and people bring their kids and their hands be all over the glass door. I can't tell you how many times I ain't asked nobody else to do it. Nobody can ever say I've ever asked them to do it. I got a bottle of Windex in my office. Way back here, I got a bottle of Windex in my office, and I go clean that glass. There's no such thing as it's not your job. If you work for me, no matter what I hired you to do, your job is whatever the hell I tell you to do. Straight up. And the day you say that phrase I just said, that's your last day. Seriously, I don't care how valuable you think you are to the organization. Here's the facts. None of us are that valuable. Just be honest with you. Because whatever job you got right now, you died tonight, you'll be replaced. That's the facts.
True.
They're already looking for a replacement for you. You think I'm joking? Good business people should be. Mm-hmm. Especially if you do bring a higher level of value to the organization. Seriously, right?
Yeah.
And if the leader is not doing that, they're not a leader. They're a manager. You better have a backup plan. You got a key person, a key employee or something like that in your business, and you don't at least have 4 or 5 people lined up to slide in that spot in case that person passes away or get pissed off with you and leave or whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. Oh man, you looking for your business to fall. That's the facts. It's called a succession plan. Don't feel bad about it. Everybody needs a succession plan. We can't stay forever. Right? Here's the funny thing. If you got a good succession plan, it'll help the growth now before all that happens. Right? Because people feel confident that this thing's still going to be around.
That's true. That's absolutely true. So I've thought about
how do you see what you're doing?
Yeah. Because I thought about that too. You know, the idea that like and we spoke about this a little bit last week, you know, if I leave my current employer, I want to leave on good terms, right? Just because.
Absolutely.
But I also want to leave and have the people who work with me trained up so that they're not concerned about me leaving, right? They're like, look, they're all good to go. They know what to do. They know the plan. They know the strategy. You're not going to miss a beat when I'm gone, right? Like that's the terms I would want to leave on. And so, you know, I've thought about that in making that transition, making sure that I leave the organization better than when I left, right? Because there's another generation coming up who can carry the torch, if you will. So, you know, I just feel like, you know, it's that time, you know?
Yeah. You know, I learned that in 1994.
What's that?
I was stationed, the idea that when the leader leaves, when anybody leaves, right, the organization shouldn't miss a beat. Right? That's how you know if that person who left was a leader or not.
Mm-hmm.
So in 1993, I stepped aboard the USS Wasp, LHD-1. It's a very big ship. It's in the United States Navy. There was a young man on there by the name of Donald Jetton. At that time, he was a chief petty officer. In my adult life, and no offense to anyone prior to him, but in my adult life, he was the first leader I met. I had worked with a lot of managers. He was the first leader I met. And I remember him making all of us who worked for him, who worked in his shop, under his tutelage, under his ranking. He made sure all of us knew everybody's job in the shop. All of us. He didn't care. He didn't care what your rank was. Right? You need to know that guy's job. You need to know that guy's job. And he even made sure at least 3 of us, let's call us an officer 8 or 9 or 10, right? At least 3 of us knew his job. Right? And I remember it was some guys complaining. I'm not gonna name them because I remember their name too. And he said, and I remember him saying, when I go on leave, he was talking about himself. He's like, when I go on leave, when I go on, in other words, when he takes a vacation, right? The office should run and nobody even noticed he was gone. And that just made sense, right? But mind you, I'm still a very, 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 very young, immature man, right? But it made sense.
Yeah.
Okay, chief, no problem. But I never complained anyway. It was cool. To me, it was cool to learn everybody's job. But but I caught him.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward, right? So that was early 94. Fast forward middle of 94, I'm gonna say it was. He leaves. He goes away on vacation. We didn't miss a beat. To the point that is a guy named our supply officer, right? So our assistant supply officer. No, excuse me, the supply officer, not the assistant supply officer, the big guy. The supply officer comes walking by our shop one day, right? We have our window open, right? He jiving with us a little bit, blah, blah, blah. He said, hey, where's Chief? Oh, we said, oh, he was on leave. He's on leave. They were like, oh, really? How long has he been on leave? And we were like, well, he comes back tomorrow. A normal leave period is like 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
This guy didn't even notice him being gone.
Wow.
That's leadership.
Mm.
To the higher ups didn't even know he was gone. He had trained us so well. That make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. That should be happening everywhere in corporate America, everywhere.
In families.
Everybody should be trained so that when something happens, somebody could just slide in, right? But see, when you don't see what you do is important, when you don't see the value, right? We got people at certain jobs who think certain people are more important than others. I see all of us as a body.
Mm-hmm.
My scriptures even talk about that, right? In my scriptures, it says the body, I'm the body, we're the body of Christ. Christ is the head, Jesus Christ is the head, and the rest of us are the body. Well, guess what? All of us have different roles. Because some of us are a nose, some of us are a hand, some of us are an elbow, some of us are a knee, right? Now, here's the funny part. You can live without a nose. It's vital, but it's not significant, right? Because you can't live without a liver. See, you see my nose. In our world, we put a lot of pressure. We put people who we see on a pedestal. The guy who gets in front of 10,000 people and speaks, and the guy who does, he ain't that damn important. Sometimes it's the guy in the cut, in the middle, the guy you'll never see. See, the guy you see all the time, he an arm. He an elbow. You can live without an arm. You can live without an elbow. But you can't live without a liver. You can't live without a heart. There's some people in your organizations who are hearts.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to start valuing. There's a reason there's a rib cage around that heart. And I ain't got time to go through all this with y'all. But
I can't leave right
Come
now.
she is too.
Give me a few
She
minutes.
is too
Yes,
much.
she knows.
Yeah.
My father used to go.
Hopefully the people got some value of this talk. I was just speaking to our people last week in reference to seeing what you're doing differently. That's it, right? And it stemmed from a book I'm starting to read called X, written by John Bevere, who's absolutely my favorite author of all time. I mean, other than scripture itself, John Bevere is it. And I've read a lot of books, and there's some great authors out there, right? Another book that I'm planning on reading again. It's been over 10 years since I read it. Was the new version is just released. The new version of Purpose Driven Life. Because I just want to make sure I'm on purpose, but also I'm having my daughter read it. I think it would be perfect at 16 years old that she reads that. Purpose Driven Life is written by Rick Warren, Pastor Rick Warren, as a matter of fact, of Saddleback Church out in California. So those are just things I do, but it helps me see things differently. It helped me look at the world differently. One of the things I asked our people, you might remember me asking this. Actually, I asked this question before I asked the first one. As I said, when was the last time you changed your mind? When's the last time you thought differently about anything going on in your life or the way you see something, whether it be our world, your faith, politics, whatever. When was the last time somebody was able to change your mind? And let me tell you, and if you can't remember the last time, there's something wrong. You should if that means you're hanging around all people who think like you. That's scary. Seriously, that's scary. I'm sorry. It is. Right? If every time you have a conversation with somebody and they just agree with you, that's actually I feel for you and I'm gonna pray for you more.
Mommy, what happened to the candy belly beans?
Go ahead, Majida. I'm sorry. I took over this.
You're fine. No, you're fine. Cause yeah, they're see, I like predictable outcomes, right? Children are unpredictable. Children are unpredictable, right? I'm thinking, all right, I told her, hey, watch your sister till I finish. She was like, I got you for the first 20 minutes.
Okay.
So that's just something I've learned about myself, but in understanding my role and seeing myself differently as a mother, right? I've got to learn to be more flexible and not so rigid. I've got to learn to have more patience. So yes, I and it's interesting because with my children, I look at them as they're here to teach me some things, right? Or I was blessed with them because there were some things that I needed to know, and that was the only way I was going to learn it, right? Because I wasn't listening to some of the older folk and the people around me, maybe. All right, I'll give you something in a little bit. All right. All right. In a few minutes. Like she's a pilot. I'm ground crew. So relentless there.
This is helping with that patience thing.
It is.
You should make a game.
Well, so I'm understanding too for part of my self-reflection and then the program that I'm going through, it talked about like, what did you like to do as a child, right? So I like text my parents today, like, because I really don't remember, like not when I was their age. I don't remember what I like to do as a child. In my own reflection, I was just like, well, I like to make my parents proud and I like to help my family and support. And I'm still that way. So maybe that's just how I was as a child. I was just a weird child. I didn't really like having fun and playing. I like being responsible. So now getting back to that childhood, way of doing things. And so I see it through them, but also embracing that for myself, recognizing, hey, it's okay to be flexible. It's okay to, have a plan. But one of the exercises they had me do was for if it was your ideal day, if money wasn't an issue,
Mm-hmm.
social, right,
Mm-hmm.
all of that, what would you do, right? And so I would still start off my day early, have some time to myself, but I would invest a lot more time with my family. I would spend more time with my children. I would literally just, be able to engage with them more, because a lot of times we're just in transition, going from one thing to the next.
Mm-hmm.
And then they make my schedule currently. And a lot of my time is invested somewhere where I don't value, right? I value and I want to prioritize my time with my family. But it's a contradiction because my schedule doesn't reflect that. And so
Uh,
that was part of, my thinking as well. Like, I need to position myself. I've been so used to supporting everybody else and supporting everything else, that I haven't been listening to what I want, right? What I prefer. And now
I'm
making
glad you.
time, making time and investing energy into doing more of that. Because I want to be intentional as a parent, right? I take that responsibility. I don't take that responsibility lightly.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well, I know
I,
you
I
don't. I know you. But I want to say something because I think your audience need to catch that. That you said you would love to spend more time with your family and their priority, blah blah blah. But your calendar didn't reflect that.
right.
You're not congruent in what you say, vice
Yeah.
right. And I've said this
Which
for
you,
years. I've spoken around the country for a long time, and one of the things I've said is that you want to find out what's really important to someone. Look at their calendar and look at their bank account.
mm,
You'll really find out what's important. And so pretty cool. It's profound that you said that out loud. You knew that about you. And but I think something your brother-in-law said to you a few weeks ago is you lack boundaries.
hmm
Because if you, and I get it, you want to help people. I have that same burning desire. And I'm gonna be honest, it's kind of a selfish thing at this point for me, because I'm high. It's literally a high helping people. It's high. I don't even know how to describe it. I'm so I've been dealing with some things myself, health wise and things like that. And I noticed that when I'm not thinking about that and I'm going to go do what I do, right, and use my gift, I totally forget all the stuff I'm dealing with. Like somebody literally had to, like, for example, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this. I literally, so I had a meeting with someone today. He was asking me about me, my week, blah blah blah. It was certain things that were kind of stressful things that I had totally forgot.
mm,
I had forgotten.
yeah.
Halfway through our talk, I had to tell him, oh crap, I had to deal with. Oh my gosh, and I just had to deal with this. Actually, I'm still dealing with it. Actually, as I'm still dealing with it, but but why? Because I engulfed myself in helping somebody else or being a listening ear for someone else. And so it's a high for me. So don't get me wrong, I'm helping people in stuff I know what to do and help them with, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna lie to you, I get a benefit out of it. I'm high off of it. I'm high off of
Mm,
helping somebody else. Hate to see certain stuff I'm privy to that I hate to see that they have to go through that.
hmm
That part sucks, and unfortunately I don't want to call it a problem because maybe it's a gift. I just haven't figured it out yet. But like when somebody's hurt, do you know them type of people that when somebody else is hurt, they feel they're hurt?
Yeah.
Like I certain
Empath.
stuff I can't see
hmm
because then I feel it. It creates an anxiety in me. Right. So so my wife likes to tell me stuff that happens at the hospital, and I'm like, and she wants me to watch those shows with her that, somebody's leg sticking out of their elbow, and I just can't see it because, and then unfortunately it lingers with me. Right. So when I hear these things that I'm helping these people with, and then I hear these things, it's like, oh, why do they have to? Right. But then I have to remember, my Heavenly Father's perfect. He doesn't think like me. Right. His ways are not my ways. So maybe it's something they have to learn in that. And then the same way my hurts and pains and issues I've become a blessing to other people because I went through them and the way I walked
Yeah.
through. Right. Maybe that's what's going to happen with them too.
Yeah.
I've had to walk through some pretty painful stuff, and now those things get to be a blessing to somebody else, and which makes me okay with the fact that I had to walk through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
And
it's interesting that how you said that, right? Being congruent.
no, it's so important. And I think for a lot of people there is a lack of awareness. Like they're unaware that the path that they're on is misaligned from who they are or who they're supposed to be, right? They're just doing what was the next natural thing to do, or they're doing what they think they're supposed to do. But they don't know themselves. They haven't gotten in touch with themselves. They haven't studied themselves. And that's something that I learned growing up in my literature. It says, know thyself. Like that's the first thing, right? Know thyself and thy Father God, right? Like that's and so being able to take time to do that. And I think for me, just in the place that I'm in now, like I'm very I want to be more intentional about what I'm doing. And for you, it may be a high. It's not that for me, right? Because I know myself, and interacting with people is not my strength. I don't get a high from it. But kind of back to what I said earlier about childhood, it's obedience, right? I'm just being obedient. And that for me is fulfilling, right? Like I try to get that through to my children, like just be obedient. Because I was taught, teach him obedience and he shall bless thee, right? Like God blesses you when you're obedient. So that's as simple as it is for me. I'm obedient, I get blessed. And I look at what I've been blessed with, and I have, what I feel is an abundance. So I'm supposed to share that with other people and show them how they too can be blessed when they're. I don't know, but
when they're obedient.
When you're obedient.
Maybe
that's why
do you know? I'm going to say something, right? Do you know probably 99% of all the drama or issues we will go through in our lives could be eradicated from simple obedience from all parties involved? Think about that. 99%. Now, of course, there's some stuff we can't control at all.
Yeah.
But we could eradicate 99% of the world's problems with obedience. But here's the problem. Obedience to what? Obedience to whom? That's another topic for another day. But can you? I want you to think about this, Majida. And you've heard me talk about my core values for a long time. You're probably tired of hearing about it, right? But my core values, the very last one is obedience. Now, mine is in obedience to our Heavenly Father, His Word, His Scriptures, and the way you walk, right? But everybody don't have that. Not everybody believe that. Oh yeah. Side note: just because you don't believe something, don't make it true. So, I mean, don't make it false. So, I'm gonna leave you with that. But yeah. You could not believe in gravity, but you jump off the top of my building. I promise you, gravity kicks in. So, whether you believe it or not,
right?
Right, your little finite brain, right, and an
but it's
infinite power. Oh my God.
We had a conversation a few weeks ago with my brother-in-law, my brother, on a podcast that we do, And we were talking about how, you follow a certain plan, you go to school, you get good grades and all that kind of stuff. And I had shared on that like I didn't have a reason to question the guidance I was given, right? Because I was taught to obey your mother and your father, right? So do what they tell you to do, right? So I followed that plan until I got to a place where like there was no other plan. So then I had to figure it out from that point moving forward. But it was never like a question in my mind that they would lead me astray, right? Like I never questioned that my parents guided me or taught me, anything wrong. They gave me the best that they had. They taught me on what I needed to know to be successful. But something that you shared before is that who um, who we are is God's gift to us, right? Our gifts, our talents, right? All of those things. Who we become is our gift back to Him. And so, in understanding that, right, like who I am, like at my core, I'm ambitious, right? I'm obedient, right? I'm like those are the things that are innate within me. And so, looking to manifest those things in a way to show my gratitude, because I've also been taught to honor thy father and thy mother, right? Like it's and I don't want to. I'm gonna put this out there because it seems like when I put things out there, it holds me accountable to then act on it. But I had in my mind to write a book called "My Father's Daughter, My Mother's Child," and it's a play on words because it's not just my earthly mother and father. Yeah. So, but like that's how I see myself, right? Like I'm this child of the creator, right? Or I'm this daughter of the creator. Um, but I'm also, in my relationship with my father is different from my relationship with my mother. And so, those are the things that like I'm always thinking about, right? I'm always in my head, right? You being an introvert, I'm always thinking and reflecting, like, how can I get better and how can I become? Like Michelle Obama has her book out called Becoming, and it's this process, like that's part of life, is just becoming and unfolding and all of those things. And it says, I was taught like as man unfolds, his God unfolds. Like so as you become who you're supposed to be, like your understanding and awareness of your connection to something greater than yourself. And I think that's so important. Like some people, like you said, don't have that, right? They don't have a connection to a greater power or greater, right? They don't see anything greater than themselves. And that's where they often fall short. Like if you're the end all be all, right? Like if you don't answer to anyone, then you see yourself as bigger than you are. And when I deal with people like that, like I can clearly tell, like there's you, right? Something that you taught me, and I don't remember if you remember this or not. You said a man is somebody who loves God, right? Like a real man is somebody who loves God. And that always stuck with me. And I've shared that with different friends, stuff like that. But that idea that like you have to be accountable to someone, right?
Yes.
And if you don't have that, you can be lost, right? You can live this life and you can kind of be all over the place or kind of float from one thing to the next because you don't have any direction.
Been there.
So I'm just excited about the journey. I know we've been talking for a while, but I just wanted to share with the people some thoughts in my head and obviously get your insight. I definitely appreciate you sharing your perspective.
No problem.
And allowing people to see, a different side, something in our holy book. It says, when hope and love are back of toil, then all of life is filled with joy and peace. And this is heaven, right? I think I shared that maybe last week or a couple weeks ago. And like there it's hard to like live this life and feel fulfilled and feel joy and feel like all of those intangible things if there's not something greater to look forward to. You know what I mean? Like you can endure all of this stuff just of your own accord, you have to see something. You have to see what you do differently. You have to see who you are differently than what is just at face value. So
and I'm glad you said that, because if anyone who knows me, so now you'll understand. And I'm not talking about people who are acquainted to me. I'm talking about people who know me, right? Everyone who knows me knows I live for eternity. I'm not focused on the next 70 years I'll be here on the planet. I'm more focused on the next infinite number of years I will live past that.
Yeah.
So I live for eternity. And that's why, and I'm telling you, I screw this up all the time because I get into my own feelings. I get selfish in my own brain. I'm just more honest about it than most. And if you live that way, there's a level of, I'm not saying it's all roses, but there's a level of peace and it's liberating.
Mm-hmm.
I feel liberated, right? I
Yeah.
don't, and that's why I can say what I say in reference to the political stuff and, you know, the racism stuff. And I'm liberated. I get it, right? It's a lot of people acting like they woke. And it's really, to me, they seem like they sleep deprived. I don't know if they woke at all. I think they need to go take a nap. You've been up too long, right? You're delirious. And I say that type of stuff, and of course people get pissed off, right? But I say it really because, and we'll end with this: the messenger leaves, but the message lingers.
Mm.
And if you live in objective reality, you'll examine yourself. And if you don't, the only person you really hurting by not growing is you.
Mm.
You and your family and your course of generation. And I just want to grow as much as I possibly can, become the best version of myself, so that my next generation has the opportunity to do the same.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
well,
I got an idea for next week. You talked about people being the true them and who you are and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's 6 needs. There's 6 needs. All of us have 6 needs, right?
Okay.
And sometimes one is more dominant than the other, but there's 6 needs. Maybe we should talk about that next week. I
love it. I'll get to do some homework, make sure I'm prepared.
Yeah, let's get off of here. Hey, I appreciate the conversation today. And you know what? I realized today, I think I really do appreciate that sometimes we don't plan this. You just get on here with a question. Mm-hmm. And you allow me to flow with it. And I don't know. I think there's a gift in there somewhere. Yeah, because it's not all polished and ready to go, and right. I think the ones we get on here and just flow, and there's a question and we throw some stuff out. I think we get the authentic stuff.
And that's important. I definitely believe that's important. Especially for the people that we want to reach. Yeah, absolutely. So we thank you all for tuning in. What? I don't know where the phone is, child. We definitely appreciate you all tuning in. We hope you got some value. If so, definitely share, like it, tell a friend, and join us next week as we talk about needs. I'm excited, right? I'm gonna do some research and see what I can come up with, some questions I can ask. I think I know, a little bit about what you're referring to, but I definitely want to bring some questions to bring some insights for our audience. So thank you all again, and stay tuned with us next week on Momentum Chat, 7 p.m. Thank you, John, for all of your wisdom and insight, and for being transparent and just being your authentic self with the audience. I think they definitely appreciate that. So we'll see you all next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday, guys. Love you.